Hey everybody, it's Andy Kushner, host of the Wedding Biz, and this is an episode of The Next Level in which I have a guest co-host, and together we discuss the most recent interview of the week and kind of suss out a few key highlights to help translate them into some specific tactical strategies that you can use to bring your own business to the next level. And before I introduce today's guest co-host, I want to mention that last week's interview, if you missed it, was of Darren Olarsh with On the Move Entertainment. And my guest co-host on the next level was Jess Gordon, really wonderful planner and designer. And we had a great conversation. So I recommend checking it out from last week. So without further ado, today's guest co-host is none other than Julie Novack, founder of PartySlate. Julie is the CEO and co-founder of PartySlate, a photo-rich website where leading event professionals share their work, build their brand, and drive leads. I'm so excited, Julie, to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. You know, I'm a big fan of your podcast and all of the amazing guests you have, so I'm excited.
Thanks. And listen, everybody, I interviewed Julie on the show, and so be sure to search her name, go back and listen to the interview of Julie, because it was really a highlight. It was really fun. So today's guest who Julie and I are going to talk about is Calder Clark, owner and creative director of a full-service consulting and design firm out of Charleston, South Carolina, and Raleigh, North Carolina. And Calder plans a limited number of exclusive destination affairs every year, both domestically and international. Calder is a Vogue and Harper's Bazaar and Martha Stewart weddings top planner. And so, Julie, one of the first topics that, really kind of grabbed me that we talked about with Calder was how she talked about when she was considering getting into the business, she decided, I love this, she wanted to, basically she called it shopping her peers. And so she pretended that she was a bride and called around just to see what it was like to be a bride. And so she figured, she was doing her due diligence and then did jump in. What did you think of that technique?
I thought it was a great idea, and I did something similar for PartySlate. We really love the website Houzz, Houzz, which is a beautiful home design, kitchens and bathrooms website. And so I worked with my friend who's an interior designer and pretended I wanted to create a profile page. We actually did create a page for his business. And just going through the whole experience with Houzz gave me some great ideas for PartySlate. So I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, that was really brilliant. I've heard some other people do something like that, and I think it's a great way, even if you're already in the business, perhaps, to do a little bit of that. Also, she was talking about how when she's meeting her clients and kind of, expressing how she works and her philosophy, I thought it was really fascinating, the metaphor that she used. She was saying on the interview that many of her clients have bought and renovated homes and sold them. And so she basically tells them that it's like building a home. And you've got this team, building the vision with the actual building, the interior design, landscaping, et cetera, all of that. And that Calder was saying to them that her team and she are like editors, they're finding the details. And I thought that was also really an interesting way to get the client to really get on the same page with her quickly.
Yeah, I love that as well. I think it's always important to explain what you do and the value that you provide by comparing it to something that they understand. So they may not have planned a large-scale event before, and they're not understanding the costs or the steps, but they have redesigned a house or they have worked with an interior designer, and they understand how it's the design process, it's understanding your needs, it's lining up partners and vendors, and it's a lot of work. And I think people, clients really underestimate how much work goes into creating a beautifully orchestrated and wildly creative event.
Yeah. And to get them to understand that, I thought that was such an interesting way to do it. She also talked a lot about the business, how she's running her business, and the need to sit down with her team and really hyper focus and create a system of protocol and basically to handle every little, as she said, tidbit of her business, an internal protocol, how they do things. And I know from your story, you've really taken a deep dive into that and must continue it, I assume.
Absolutely. I think, as you decide to move from a one-person business to a three-person business, or in our case, we have 30 employees now at PartySlate, you really have to take all the learnings, all your experience, and wrap those into processes and best practices. And that sounds like what she was doing for her event business. And that's allowed her to hire new employees, but not have the quality or the experience with the clients go down from when they just worked with her.
Can you tell me more about how you do it yourself? I mean, I'm just thinking back to the conversation, Julie, that we had, and I was like blown away with, what you have done, from scratch to build what you have. And I know that you're continuing to grow globally. And I'm aware that you continue to have events and open up cities throughout the United States. I mean, it like boggles my mind what you have taken on and how you keep up with it, and as well as needing to grow your team and educate them. Can you say something about how you have done it and what you're doing now at this point in your career, but especially from the beginning?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think from the beginning, it was 3 or 4 of us really putting together a business plan and trying to understand the needs first of the event professionals, but also of these people that are planning these large scale events, because we're truly a marketplace connecting people, looking for new ideas and looking for the best local event professionals and venues. And so what we did when we started going into new cities is we had to take what we learned from Chicago and create what we call a city roadmap. So when we expanded to LA, we knew we needed to write a series of articles to capture the top event professionals. So now we always write articles on the best luxury ballrooms, the best event planners, the best caterers, the best, decor companies in that city. And that captures those event professionals onto PartySlate with a free profile. There's no downside to being in an article and having a beautiful profile page, especially since we do all the heavy lifting of getting the photos organized for them. And then after that point, we really start driving the consumer traffic. So the people planning the events through social media, SEO, search engine optimization work. And then, of course, we do our launch event with really high profile sponsors. And so we created this kind of rhythm, this city playbook that we do in every single city. And we scale it up or down based on the size of the city. And then in our roadmap, we go back to those cities and plan follow-up events for our premium members, who are paying members, and also outreach to new professionals that we want to join. So it's really become kind of a science, and we're, always redefining and making it better, but we're in 11 cities now. And so it was really important to capture what did we learn in Chicago? What did we learn in LA? What did we learn in New York? So when we go to our next cities, we're really efficient.
You're reminding me about a conversation, and I released it a few weeks ago. Ray Thompson, the lighting designer. I mean, crazy, amazing. I mean, just amazing, over the top lighting designer. And I recommend if y'all listening haven't heard Ray Thompson talk about his philosophy of lighting, I highly, highly recommend it. Even if you aren't doing it yourself, but you're hiring other people to better understand what's possible. Listen to Ray's. But Julie, I'm thinking about how Ray was saying that even at his level, I mean, almost every event he does, he has to sign an NDA. That's the level of it. And after every single event, he gets together with the entire office. This is so interesting to me. Not only the people that were at the event and working on it, but the entire office. They get together and they discuss as much as they can the details of how it went. What was it that they felt worked so well? What did not work so well? And then they make changes. And so they're just just continuously, adjusting, let's call it their system of protocol.
Absolutely. And we're doing the same thing as we launch new cities and we bring new people on to sales and marketing and our tech team. It's so important to take kind of that institutional knowledge and make sure that everyone on the team has that experience set of this is what happened in New York, this is what happened in Miami, and always evolve, because there's only one constant, and that's change. And so you can't just write a process down and that's forever your process. It always has to evolve and get better and better.
To what extent are you involving the team in the assessment and even, what maybe needs to change? How about that?
Oh, they're driving it. I am in more times than not
they're
the participant in the meeting.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So, I mean, so we have our head of marketing, our head of customer success, our head of pro acquisition, our head of events. And so it's really part of the process is for them to kind of host this, we call it kind of a post analysis of what worked, what didn't work. And then, of course, on our tech team, as part of our agile development, which is kind of an approach of, constantly rolling out new code. So every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, they're doing an assessment of what went well in the sprint. A sprint is kind of a period of time where a new feature is launched. So, for example, we just launched our video gallery, which is great for, Kushner Entertainment and other entertainment companies and videographers. So now, we launched that and, hey, what worked in that sprint? What didn't work in that sprint? What could we do better? And again, the tech team is driving that.
God, that is so, it's interesting in my own company. I mean, in the Wedding Biz, I'm just doing it continually with my team, just because I feel like, in a sense, even though it's been 2 years, that I still feel like we're in a sort of startup because we've got a lot of big stuff that's coming out soon. Yeah, big programs are going to announce, and so. But on the entertainment side, I've got to admit, I feel kind of remiss, like I don't do this with my team after every job, and I'm learning something here from listening to Calder and also to you. I think that's really critical. And also I'm thinking about how it helps the team to feel empowered, right? If they're involved.
It is very empowering.
Yeah. Like not only simply because I own it, it's not enough. I need them to, that phrase, buy into it. Right. And if and I do want to hear their opinions. I don't know everything that's going on. And, you get all, what do they say? 2 heads is better than one. Absolutely. And so I do it every once in a while. I'm going to start doing it more often. I think this is something we should all take on if we're not doing it.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, it's also therapeutic too. It meaning, sometimes you go through some painful times and some hard learnings, but talking about it with the team, it takes a little bit of the pressure off of, okay, well, that was painful. And we recently did a partnership and we learned some valuable lessons about what we need to do and what we need to have in writing when you do a partnership. And from that, I'm taking that to my next partnership. And it's not a matter of trust. It's just a matter of documenting expectations, what you need from the partnership, what they need from the partnership. It's just really important to do that. So that's a good example of it was a painful experience. We had some good lessons learned, but we took those learnings and we carried it on to the next one.
Also, before we wrap up, Calder talked about how she was creating multiple streams of revenue, and not just, this was interesting to me that she even brought it up, that it wasn't necessarily just in her event business, but personally too, getting into real estate and investing, and how she felt that it further empowered herself. And I'm realizing right now, by doing that, it had to obviously help her feel more confident and just feel a little more protected to be able to take more risk in the event business, creating these multiple streams of revenue. How do you feel about that?
I think there's a balance. I think if you're too diversified, then you're going to do, 3 or 4 things and have a difficulty being the best at one. But in her situation, clearly the event business is her lead business. And this other thing, the real estate, the thing she's doing on the side, just is an extra source of income as opposed to having 2 separate careers. That's at least what I took from her.
Yeah.
I know with PartySlate, I want to do, European expansion and Australia. And we, as much as I want to do that, we're really focused on being the best first in the US and really getting our, engagement and really getting to the top 25 cities before we expand too quickly. So I think there's a balance between focus and doing something really great and also having other things that, make you happy or projects that get you really motivated and excited. So I think she's got that right balance.
Yeah, I'm also thinking, when I interviewed Colin Cowie, he was talking about creating multiple streams of revenue, particularly within his own business, so that he feels more protected from, the economic downturns that are inevitably going to happen, right? It's all cycles, and how he's really focusing on, what are the different things he can do that brings in money. But yet, I love what you're saying, got to be really careful with that, right? So that you're not losing focus on the main source of income for your company.
Absolutely. I see a lot of platforms out there that are trying to do everything. 10 different services. And I think it waters down, the core. And so we have decided that PartySlate's core is we want to be the best in the world at providing event inspiration, new ideas, and access to local pros. So we've chosen not to do wedding registry or websites. And again, those are all great things, but we want to be the best in the world at this for this particular kind of top 10% of the market. That's what we're really looking for, larger scale events.
I love that. Well, that is all we have time for today. I want to thank everyone for listening. And Julie, thank you so much for joining me on the show. I love having you on the mic. And one of these days, we're going to have a part 2 to having you on the show again.
I would love it. I'm, again, a big fan, and I love all of the guests that you've procured to be on your show. And we all listen at our office.
Oh, cool. Oh, I love hearing that. That's really neat. Well, and again, I want to tell everyone you've got to go back and listen to Julie's interview. It was January 21st of this year, January 21st. PartySlate's information is partyslate.com. Again, partyslate.com. And social media handle is PartySlate. And for Calder Clark, her website is Calder Clark. It's Calder Clark, calderclark.com. And Calder's Instagram and Twitter handle is Calder Clark. And her Facebook one is Calder B. Clark. And as usual, you can find all of this in the show notes at theweddingbiz.com. And please follow us, particularly on Instagram, at The Wedding Biz. And be sure to share these episodes. It really helps new people to find us. And Julie, thank you again. And we'll catch you all next week on The Wedding Biz.